Hello. This video will be about the beginning of the internet, and it won't be about any of the nitty-gritty, won't be about the very complicated parts about how it works and why it works together, but it will cover the basics of it, and it will expect you to have a kind of basic understanding of what the internet is now, and all of the cat pictures and memes that flow across it from day to day. So, without further ado, what was the first network-based network? The big network that was the beginning of the internet. And for that, that was the ARPANET. The ARPANET was formed by four universities, four colleges in 1969, which was the UCLA, Augmentation Research at Stanford, University of California, Santa Barbara, and the University of Utah School of Computing. Now, when you think that four universities created this, it would be used for storing information for colleges. Maybe databases, books. But the person who funded ARPANET was a part of a military branch in the United States. Stephen J. Lukasik, the deputy director of DARPA, funded most of the project and claimed rights to it to use ARPANET for military purposes. It was used to share information securely and privately, as that was what they were tasked to create with the ARPANET. The ARPANET covers a very wide range of the United States. When it first started out, it was only four of those red squares or dots. And those four squares were all in California, right? Those four universities. That was how they tested it. They only had the four of them. But when the government got their hands on the ARPANET, they expanded it in order to cover more ground and to cover more bases. They got information across faster, and it really helped them throughout their efforts. But it wasn't always just a military asset once the ARPANET was expanded. The ARPANET was eventually opened up to students, but it was still a very private network. So, in order to use the ARPANET, you had to be from very prestigious schools, and you had to get access to it by showing them that you're trustworthy. But the ARPANET, being as secure as it was, they just didn't leak any information, and they kept it very private and only let them see what they needed to see. Now, how are these connected together? You saw the map earlier about how big it was, but how did it get from place to place? It can't be just one building to one building. Well, it's not. So what you see with this logical map is the ARPA network, but now with routers and modems. And what these devices did is basically they carried the packets from each device, each computer, to the router across their network over wire to the next router or modem, and modem actually, and they kept carrying it from point to point. Now, these points didn't need to always be the same. The endpoint, however, was always the same, but the in-betweens were very different. So here's an example of how your packets can be sent over different mediums to reach the same goal. So from point A, four packets are split up and sent over different mediums, but still end up reaching the same spot. Now if we go back, you'll notice there's a ton of nodes here, and say I want to send it from PDP-10 all the way down to PDP-11 on the bottom right, from the top left to the bottom right. Now if I sent four packets, it might not just go from, through the main line from Xerox to FNWC, UCSB, But what could happen is they could be spread out all over, and they could share the transfer transfer speed, and they would all end up eventually at PDP-11. It's kind of like putting your address to send on mail. These wires became way more expansive when the internet was created. But the internet was really just laying more wires down, expanding networks, and overall having peaceful relations with other countries. Because overall, we shared our networks together. We share information. It's a global thing now. But in the beginning, the United States had the ARPANET. The internet, however, is global. And you see all these wires, just like the connections earlier. Why would we have so many wires from one place to the same place? But the answer to that is the redundancy. Say one wire is cut and it's out of order. So where does your files go? Well, there are some protocols in place that you don't have to really worry about, but they would notify that packets were not received, and they would ask for them to be sent again. And so it would be sent, but this time over a connection that is more stable and is not broken, like the one that had just broke. The redundancy helps from letting the internet go down.